So you want to start saving in 2023. Perhaps it is one of your goals for this year. Perhaps you want to create this new habit. Perhaps you have also noticed that it is something that your finances need, that you have to improve them somehow. Saving is, of course, the better way to do that. So in this video, to help you with all of this, I am going to share with you this spreadsheet. It is entirely free and it is going to be tremendously useful for everyone out there. It includes 3 different tools, each of which is going to help you tremendously, not only this year to get started with saving, but throughout your entire life to actually be able to achieve financial freedom to saving, of course, among other things. Let's just get started, show you what this spreadsheet can do for you. Hello, my name is Eduardo Rosas. I have a finance and banking degree, and in this channel, I talk all about personal finance. I talk about saving, I talk about investing, I talk about retirement planning, and so much more. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So in this video, we're going to focus on saving, and we're going to do that through this spreadsheet that let's just dive right into it. You can actually access this spreadsheet entirely free. In the description down below, you're going to find this Google spreadsheet. All you have to do is make sure that you go over to the file menu and make yourself a copy so that you can edit it and have your own version of this spreadsheet, where you're going to find that the first sheet, this monthly savings sheet, is going to help you with the first step of creating a saving habit, which is, of course, to establish the goal. So to create this habit, it is very important, of course, to know what you're saving for. Let's say that we're going to save for an iPhone. How much you want to save? Let's say $1,000, which I'm going to write right here. And when I want these savings to be available to me. Let's say that I want them to be available on the 1st of January of next year. So I have 12 months to save $1,000. Obviously, very simple math to do. We just divide 1,000 by 12 and we get that we have to save $83.33 every month. But the important thing in here is the entire visualization of our goal that we have inside of this spreadsheet. For instance, I can start typing how much I actually saved on January. While the goal was to save $83.33, I may have been able to save an entire $100. But let's say that in February, I wasn't so motivated anymore, so I only saved $50. That means that instead of the $166 that I should have, I only have $150. And not only is this little table allowing me to visualize how well or how bad I am doing pursuing this goal, but I also see this small chart to the right that on the blue line is going to show me how much money I should have saved by a certain date, but it is also going to show me on the red line how well I'm progressing. So as I progress through my goal, I may see that I am falling behind or that I may have some breathing room, etc. So this is going to be very helpful to help me visualize my goal. Speaking of which, another thing that we can do on this first step of creating a habit of saving is to keep very present in mind the goal that we are trying to achieve. In this example, we're trying to save for an iPhone, so it would be ideal for us to visualize us having that new iPhone already. So we stay motivated to keep saving these $83 every month. This is an example, but if we have this ideal vacation in mind, what we would want to do is describe with a lot of detail that ideal vacation. Where are we going to stay? How many days are we going to be there? What are we going to visit? What activities do we want to plan? And so on and so forth, so that that very detailed description keeps us motivated to keep saving whatever monthly goal this spreadsheet is going to calculate for us. So all of this just to start creating the habit or to help us create that habit. But of course, to actually create the habit, we need to have some budget available for us to save this amount every month. How do we do that? Well, the second spreadsheet, the monthly budget, comes into play in here. It is going to allow us to enlist all of the expenses that we have month after month. And it is going to help us do that by enlisting a lot of different types of expenses that we may have. Because if you sit down right now, even with your bank statements, even with all the receipts, even with your partner, and you sit down for a couple of hours trying to remember everything, inevitably you're going to miss something. You're going to forget something that you spent month after month. This spreadsheet is here to help you remember everything precisely because it just lists a lot of things. So I would recommend that you sit down with your family, with your partner, with still the bank statements, receipts, and everything to fill this up. How much do you spend on rent, on the first mortgage, and groceries, and restaurants, and gas, and taxes, and life insurance, and so on and so forth, so that you have this budget filled up. Now, speaking of savings and creating this habit and achieving those goals, a very important section in here is precisely the saving section. You will notice that I have listed an emergency fund, a retirement fund, and the college fund. But this can of course change. You can change the college fund to be an iPhone if you're not currently saving for a college fund. And you can change emergency fund for a car if you preferably already have your emergency fund, and so on. The crucial thing about this savings section is that it only has 3 available slots. Because preferably in our lives, we only have 1 to 3 priorities where we want to spend our money on. Of course, a lot of things that we need to spend money on, like rent and food and insurance, but everything else that is not necessary and that is not in this very small list of priorities, we should cut without mercy. We may very well decide that one of our priorities is entertainment, because we have kids and we want to pay for Disney Plus because we sit down with our kids and we have some nice moments and later on we talk about this show. That's entirely fair. We may very well have a car as a priority because we love driving, and driving at night or after work is so relaxing for us, or we're just enthusiasts. That's entirely fair. And one of our priorities might very well be iPhones because we just love the new tech and we love to explore everything that we can extract out of our iPhones. But everything else that is not related to these priorities should be cut out. For example, restaurants. I may like to go to restaurants, but that is not my priority. I rather spend time with my family at home, being entertained by a TV show or by a board game, something like that. So I cut all expenses on restaurants. Hopefully, by listing only 1 to 3 priorities in this section, you start to have some budget available precisely for these priorities. You may very well list in this budget all of the things that are necessary, but hopefully you start to find some available budget every month for these priorities. So this spreadsheet is hopefully useful because it allows you to write how much you make every single month, perhaps even adding some irregular income that you receive every single month, and you go ahead and try to have a zero balance. So not negative, where you're spending more money than you make, but also not positive, because you are using all your available budget towards the necessities, of course, but also your priorities, your savings, as I just mentioned. Now, an additional thing that I want to mention on this video is what you should do every single time you receive a raise at work or you create a new stream of income, every single time your monthly income increases for whatever reason. The reason why I want to include this in this video is because something very weird happens when we increase our income but don't increase our savings by a bigger rate than our income. If we don't do that, our retirement is postponed. Let me explain this a bit differently. In order for our retirement to not be postponed every single time we get a raise, our savings rate needs to grow faster than our expenses rate. For example, let's say that we currently make $4,000 and we currently save $400 every month. That means that we spend $3,600 and that our current savings rate is 10%. Let's now say that I receive a $500 raise, meaning that I now make $4,500 a month. Naturally, we may think that if we keep the same savings rate, 10%, meaning that we now save $450 a month, our finances stay the same, right? Wrong. It turns out that our retirement could be postponed if after a raise we keep the same savings rate. Why? It doesn't make sense. Well, you can think of it this way. If you make $48,000 a year, and let's say that you have $48,000 saved up, you have 1 year of income saved up. But let's say that the very next month, your yearly income increases from $48,000 to $55,000. Suddenly, your $48,000 that you have saved up do no longer account for an entire year of your expenses. Even if now you're going to be saving at the same rate than before, it will take certain time for you to again have 1 year of expenses saved up. And by that time, you may get another raise and you are always chasing after that amount of years of expenses saved up. So instead of savings rate, you may think about how many years of expenses have I saved up. This spreadsheet, again, is here to simplify your life. All you have to do is take a look at these 3 numbers in red. After you have written down how much you made a month, how much you saved a month, and how much your income has increased, it will now tell you, from now on, after this raise or after this income increase, you should now save, in this example, instead of $400, $576, meaning that your expenses can still grow from the previous $3,600 to now $3,923. Effectively, your savings rate increased from 10% to 12.81%. And by this rate, eventually the additional savings that you're making month after month will help you prevent your retirement from getting further and further away every single time you get a raise, which may not make sense, especially if you feel like your finances are still strong. Maybe you feel like they're getting stronger because you have more and more money saved up. But it turns out that in terms of how many months or years of your expenses you have saved up, every raise may make your savings less valuable in some way. So this spreadsheet, this last sheet in particular, is indeed a little bit hard to understand, but believe me, it is very, very useful in the very long term. By the way, as the spreadsheet says, this is not actually data that I had or that I compiled or anything. This is all just coming from the book Just Keep Buying by Nick Maggiulli. I just extended the data through a quadratic regression. Hopefully, this is going to be very helpful to you to create this new habit of saving and to, in the long term, make sure that even after a raise, your retirement is not postponed. I hope that these videos are being useful. This is a very brand new channel, so if you're watching this, I would really, really appreciate it if you like, if you subscribe, if you share this video, because this new channel really needs it at the moment. But enough asking for things. Make sure that you go ahead and get your copy of this spreadsheet down below. See you on the next one, hopefully.